My name is Noel Quiñones, and I'm an Afro-Boricua spoken word poet from the Bronx. Puerto Rican culture was influential in hip-hop, but also salsa in New York City. And salsa is that mix. And coming from the Bronx, the cultures were mixed, the music was mixed, the traditions were mixed, everything was mixed all the time. And that is how I feel that the Bronx really is in every poem that I do, because I always try to keep a cadence and keep a rhythm, regardless of what I'm writing about. It permeates everything when I was growing up, and so I want that rhythm to permeate everything when I perform a poem. This poem is called For Tato La Viera, or Bomba. I drop bombs, bombs, bomba, 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 bomba. Y la plena, con la bomba, con la bomba, con la bomba. Y la plena, con la bomba, con la bomba, con la bomba. Y la plena. I drop bombs every time I pen better. New Yorican bomb splatter. This is lyric over matter. Now my head is storyteller. Quiet, hear the pitter patter. Starting in the second chapter. Final passage, vocal rapture. Ending and beginning. So scream it faster. Screaming wepa like a campo wide disaster. Funny those viejos thought this music wouldn't last. Huh. I've stuck so long with poetry because it's these stories that I can weave together, but more specifically spoken word, because of that energy. It pushes it a little bit farther, where it's not just someone reading your poem, but getting your energy, your tonality, your vocals, your body language, that all adds to this space that I believe slam poetry event creates. Coated thino gold, lock load my chamber, revolving roulette to reflect the labor, an air pocket snap to release a stranger. He greets me on the page, stage, a vomit ranger. Pero un momento es que el sacero, in mi mente he dances like a rebel, moves like air 3 feet to the treble. I tremble, God thinos think you're so special, pero, pare. My school did an amazing job of telling us that we had a voice. But the voice I was looking for didn't exist in the curriculum. And so what I ended up doing my 3rd year of high school was I went on this huge research binge. I wanted to know as much as I could about Puerto Rican history, about Puerto Rican leaders, about Puerto Rican movements. That was not being given to me in any class, in any forum, in English literature or history. So much has been forgotten, and so much has been covered up, and so much is not readily available, that I feel that I can do that I have this art form. I've worked on this craft for so long that I now have the opportunity to perform a history in such a way that it's accessible, that it can be remembered in a different way, in a modern context, is exciting, and people are enjoying that. And because it's so popular, a lot of people in the community are using it to tell histories that are not in the textbooks. That's the beauty of spoken word. It's not just me, it's not just the poems, it's the audience who receives them and how they receive them. My mind moves like bomba. Pure Africano hymn, it was brought on the backs of sugar slaves from Africa to Puerto Rico, where I'm from. It's as if everyone moves with 2 left feet because they knew they had a right one. My people move in 3s, from Africa to Puerto Rico to America, from countryside to boat to city, from drummer to dancer to audience, from bomba to plena to salsa. This is the storyline that you are not used to. The topics and themes I write about are centered around, obviously, Puerto Rican history, but also my identity as an Afro-Latino, specifically an Afro-Boricua, and trying to kind of understand that, again, within today's context of what it means to be Afro-Latino during a time that Black Lives Matter exists and during a time that the Puerto Rican debt crisis is happening. So a lot has been around identity, around me growing up in the Bronx, separate of kind of my race and ethnicity, just, I guess, childhood. And again, all of it trying to understand Puerto Rican identity overall. The way that in the beginning nothing is ever right but we, Taino brass bone boom, try our best, stumbling as things considered dirt, always do to shake that which has been forgotten, yet we always be perceiving that which has been forgotten. Afro-Boricua for me is the acknowledgement and the acceptance and the bringing in of the fact that Puerto Ricans, at least in this context, have ancestry that comes from Spain, from the indigenous people of the island, the Tainos, and from Africa because of the African slave trade. And so with all those coming together, it's this acceptance that all three exist, but also getting rid of the idea that all three exist equally. And so there's been this myth that exists that Puerto Ricans are an equal third of all three. And it's simply not true statistically or genetically. And the reason that that's important is because for a long time, not only did many Puerto Ricans in my family believe that all three existed equally, but they always raised the Spanish ancestry first. And while that always existed, no one ever wanted to say that, you know, we might have connections to African tribes or different African peoples, as well as the indigenous roots that we have in the Tainos who were there when conquerors first came to the island. And so Afro-Boricua is my kind of taking back of that identity, of that truth that exists now that we have so much more information. And it's me naming myself. Feel it like a speedy through thinking, what if the Caribbean had it right? The way I wasn't raised learning Spanish but have a Puerto Rican accent when I speak tongues. The way my best friend's body knew how to dance bachata before he ever understood that we move like God is watching my mind. Moves like bomba in a constant three-part conversation. Can't find the beginning to a song, the middle to a rap verse, or the end to a poem. Just a genre of madness. The way a bomba drummer creates a tapestry of stories within their throat, each layered within the next. The way a bomba dancer, moving, weaving, searching the madness. The way the audience watches for transcendence, porque when I scream, huepa, that is the closest I ever feel to God. I don't believe in just performing. That every time I book a show, I always want to say, if it's in a college or a school, I want to say that I offer workshops and I offer community discussions, because it's so important to understand that, again, we are not just those few minutes that we go on a stage and read a poem, that we're also figuring ourselves out. We also have other things that we want to express in different ways. And so the poetry is kind of a trick for me to get in, because I just love talking with people and building community.